Thank you. Namaste all, and thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Hari Krishnan. It's been a very interesting webinar so far, getting the insights from Mr. Vinod, Dr. Vinod Singh, Mr. Pavan Chaudhary, Dr. Harish Prasad, Dr. Harish Pillai. And yes, in this big black cloud of COVID, the focus has been healthcare delivery and medical products, I would say. When this war started, it came to us pretty much unwanted, unprecedented. And when the lockdown came, we all got hunkered down to prepare for the war, to prepare the ammunitions for the war. So all kind of medical supplies were certainly required. And the country certainly required, the who's who in the government certainly required that this statistics of numbers of imports, India is 80% import dependent, we are 90% import dependent. We import 38,000 crore rupees in 2019. We'll cross 45,000 crore rupees in 2020. Suddenly became not a statistic, but a reality. Suddenly there was a vacuum. How will we manage? Because supply chains disrupted, flights stopped coming in, shipments stopped coming in, and there were no goods coming in from the biggest suppliers to us, whether from China, Japan, Europe, or USA. And the focus suddenly shifted towards India. As soon as the lockdown started, IMED became the center point for providing information to the government. So we were getting phone calls from the PMO, from the Department of Pharmaceuticals, from the Textile Ministry, from DPITT, you name it. But there was a fantastic ecosystem which was created overnight. I used to be making 2 or 3 trips a day to Delhi. And then we suddenly realized that we have to move to by technology, and we move towards video conferencing like we are doing right now. So I've not gone to Delhi since middle of March now. But 3 trips from Faridabad to Delhi was a big challenge for me. And what were the issues? The first issue was masks. We had hardly 20 manufacturers in the country. And in the 6 weeks after that, we've got more than 40 manufacturers currently listed in IMED. Second issue was sanitizers. Where do we get sanitizers from? The government wanted to know. In IMED, we had hardly 10 manufacturers listed because most of them are in the pharmaceutical side with the drug, but not so much as medical equipment or medical devices. On today's date, we got more than 80 manufacturers listed with IMED. Then issue was gloves. And we said, no, gloves is not a problem. Gloves, India is the biggest producer for gloves, especially Kerala. We got more than 27 manufacturers over there. The problem is only examination gloves, where we don't make a single examination glove in the country and we import from Malaysia. So the government was stunned. We don't make examination gloves. And all these 27 glove factories in Kerala and Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, why can't they make examination gloves? Well, because the custom duty is 0 and the raw material duty is 60%. So it's much more cheaper to import from Malaysia than to make. Okay, but how will we manage? Don't worry, for now we have stocks. And if required, we can manage with the surgical gloves. Okay, so immediately export ban, masks, no exports. Sanitizers, no exports. Gloves, no exports for nitrile gloves. Latex gloves, okay, we'll allow you for now because of your commitment that you say you've got 800 million spare capacity for now. The next issue was on ventilators. We had 12 listed manufacturers in IMED for ventilators. Most of them were in MSME category, limited capacity. DOP spoke to DPITT. DPITT spoke to auto manufacturers. Maruti, Leyland, Honda, Mahindra. Everybody started calling IMED and wanting to reach out to these ventilator manufacturers. We provided the interface with the actual manufacturers so that they could team up and they could scale up. on 6 weeks from now, in February, we were making hardly 5,000 ventilators a month. And this was after, in January and February beginning, we had immediately forewarned the mask manufacturers, the glove manufacturers, the ventilator manufacturers from my side that please increase your production by 5x or 10x, not double, because we could foresee what's happening in China is going to come around the world and India could be the supplier. Only thing we did not realize was it's going to come back to India itself, and we are also going to be hit. So by fantastic teamwork, mountains have been moved. The automakers came forward, provided the working capital, the mass production management, the scale-up level, so that in May this month, the country from 5,000 in February will be producing more than 33,000 ventilators a month, and in June going up to 40,000. And in July, hopefully we'll be having a surplus to explore to the world. PPE was same. We had 20 manufacturers making coveralls with hardly 20,000 pieces a day. From 20,000 pieces a day, on today's date, we make more than 4 lakh pieces a day. Around 2 lakh pieces a day are going to HLL and Ministry of Health, and 2 lakh pieces a day are going to state health governments and to the private healthcare sector. And all this came around how and why? By collating the demand, by having extra fast communication. So we had phone calls and WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp group set up for each of these product lines, where the joint secretaries from the various ministries were part of these WhatsApp groups, in real time coming to know what the manufacturers' issues are. In real time, calling up the district management magistrate, calling up the SGM in various state governments and collectors, and requesting them for support in keeping the factories open, allowing the workers to come in, and for allowing transportation to go on. And this was all happening in March itself. So with this kind of fantastic communication from 7 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock at night, WhatsApp messages were going around, and it was really like wartime status, where the cabinet secretary himself was having like a war room, daily meetings and daily outcome reporting. Before even we've got these now 7 or 8 empowered committees that were created. Then the empowered committees took over in April, and things became slightly more structured as to who has to report to whom. So we've come to a position now that from firefighting, we have to go on and produce something for India and for the world. And the question that has been thrown to me many times by many people has been, Mr. Nath, we've done it now in 6 weeks. Who can imagine a ventilator being made in 6 weeks' time? Sophisticated technology, and not by one. More than 6 companies have made a complete product line, got it tested and tried by somebody like TUF in Bangalore or in Andhra Medtech Zone, and passed the test. So certainly all this can be done in 6 weeks' time. Why we could not do this earlier on? What's been holding us back? And the issue has been that in the past, instead of red carpet, we've had red tapeism. We've had Bapu Dome going, pushing us around. We didn't have a collated demand. And there was never a support by the government in the real sense to the industry or the private healthcare sector so much, because everything was preferred as imported or foreign. The custom duties was always an issue. If custom duties are going to be 0 or 2.5% or 5%, the same manufacturers who are making now were importing. So if Trivitron was importing, now they are making now. Similarly, for other products, masks, Romson's was importing masks. Now Romson is wanting to make masks. So certainly the manufacturing ecosystem has changed with the demand creation coming forward, that yes, we must address the national emergency. People across the country, garment exporters, we tap them. The top exporters of garment from Delhi, from Tirupur, from Bangalore, from Calcutta, they came forward to our cry for help, and they immediately said, tell us where to get the material from, where to get the testing from, and we'll support your manufacturing what do you want to do? People who never looked at medical devices suddenly realized in March and April that this is a huge industry where we need to come forward. So what is medical devices all about? It consists of 7 verticals. We got the consumables and disposables. We got the instruments and the implants. We got the IVD reagents. We got the electronics, medical electronics and the medical equipment. And we expect that last year's imports have crossed more than 42,000 crore rupees. That is all makeable in India. And anybody who says that we should make only low-end products and leave high-end products for imports, I disagree with that. If we can put the spaceship to go to the Mars, what high technology we can't make? We got DRDO, BHEL, BL now supporting companies like Scanray and Agua. Components which we were depending for imports from China and Europe, many of these components and ecosystem has been helped to be created by the Association of Component Manufacturers in the country, AISNMA, and BHEL and Bell. So by teamwork, everything is possible. Now, historically, does India have a competitive advantage in the automobile industry? Yes. In making motorcycles? Yes. In making bicycles? Yes. In making mobile phones? Yes. Until 2-3 years back, we were not making mobile phones. So how did it happen? Mobile phone became suddenly being made in the country by putting up the custom duties to 15 to 20%. Now, if you're going to reduce the duties to 0% or 5% or 7.5%, existing manufacturers also said, hey, Baba, why make? Let me also import. And that's what's been happening. And now, because of the vacuum being created, people are putting up the shutters, cleaning up their machines, and having the confidence to run these machines again. So to have this competitive advantage to make in India and become the second factory in the world, we need to be now vocal to be local. And thank you, Dr. Harish Pillai. You're very right. Suddenly, all the hospitals, whether Dr. Devi Shetty or anybody, Dr. Triya and everybody, is now looking at the need to support Make in India. Yes, we need our own domestic industry. And thank you for that. IMA, AHPI has always been supportive towards the Indian medical device industry. So we need to bring a competitive advantage by having viability in the tariffs going forward, by having a preferential procurement policy, both in private sector and in the government sector, by local. Hospitals going forward will need to be affordable to the patients. Otherwise, if the healthcare system in the country will not be affordable, you will not be having the volumes to sustain going forward. Currently, you're operating at hardly 20% of your capacity. At 20% capacity utilization with high fixed cost is going to mean high prices. But if you pass on the high prices, you have smaller queues of patients. So the reverse has to be done like we do in manufacturing. We do take a risk as entrepreneurs and we put down the pricing based on the model that we'll be having 80 to 90% capacity utilization. That's a risk healthcare has to take. So going forward, taking that risk going forward, when you are buying the medical goods, in the past, the make and buy of a purchase manager has been that let me buy the product in which I make more profit margin, not what I can buy cheaper. So now the shift has to take place by the buying organization, by the CEO, by the procurement head. Let me buy what it can be lower priced, lower cost to me without compromising quality. Instead of, can I buy something with a higher MRP where we can make more money? You can't pass on that cost to the patient anymore because the patient will disappear. It has brought the focus back on public healthcare. That public healthcare we cannot wish away. Private healthcare is required to complement public healthcare, but it cannot substitute that. So the next issue has been on quality. Quantity has been achieved in PPE, in masks, but standards are required. regulations are required. So many people have reached out to IMED in their personal capacity, in their professional capacity, that from where we can get high quality PPE, from where we can get high quality masks. The market is flooded with fake certificates and shoddy quality manufacturers. That's when regulations do require to come in. From 1st April, all medical devices are a drug. But are we really drugs? They should not be called drugs. And for the urgent requirements of COVID products, we need to regulate them not over a 1.5 year voluntary period. We need to reduce that timeline to something like 4 weeks or 6 weeks. Help manufacturers, again in war mode, to graduate from making standard quality to making high quality, bringing quality management systems, bringing in Indian certification for medical devices from QCI on a voluntary basis, support them with training on that, which we've already been doing from IMED and from other consultants in the country, and bring in a status whereby by regulations, you weed out the shoddy quality manufacturers. They need to shape up or shape up. If they have to make a medical product, a garment manufacturer or a car maker, he has to realize it's not just an engineering product, it also has to be high quality for medical usage. So these are the key issues. And to take this forward to the world, from IMED, we've reached out to the Embassy of India in Japan, in Korea, in Singapore, in Germany. We're inviting manufacturers over there to come and set up shop in India. Next week, we'll be having a webinar with the Japanese industry. These people who were earlier banking upon China and Chinese manufacturing, IMED is seeking for them to come to India. They can set up shop either in Andhra Medtech Zone, in Visakhapatnam, or in Telangana, or other medical parks going to be coming up in Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, in Gujarat, in Bhatti, in UP. Every state, Odisha, Assam, practically more than 20 states have written to IMED wanting to have a support and a collaborative MOU for making medical device marks in the country. So from 80 to 90% import dependency, we can turn that around to our advantage. Make for India and make for the world going forward by a simple collaborative network. And to the private healthcare people in this seminar, webinar today over here, I reach out to you and I request you, it has to be collaborative, it has to be both ways. Manufacturers will support you, get your costs down. Please support the domestic industry. Help us to do the clinical studies, share the feedback with us as to how to make the product better, benchmark our products with the products being imported, the MNCs, brand leaders, and we'll make sure we'll give you the same quality experience, same performance experience that you seek from these countries and companies worldwide. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We have a very quick question as we are running out of time. There is a small question, sir. Why we are not opening export of these essentials to grab international markets?
Very simple, because first India has to feed its home. So okay, if the masks are running short, sanitizers are running short, we have to first feed our home before we talk about exports.
Exactly.
But even while doing that, when people were thinking gloves are running short, and MEA and the journalists asked me that why India is exporting towards Europe and Serbia by air freight, we said, no, it's humanitarian. Please allow us to go ahead. We've got surplus capacity.
Right.
So where we've got surplus capacity, we must help the world.
Right.
And now, since the capacity is increasing of masks, we are seeking for exports to open up. Sanitizers have opened up last week for non-alcoholic, and we hope it will be something similar for alcoholic sanitizers. Same thing for masks. Non-medical masks have opened up yesterday, and we hope it will open up also for the surgical masks in this week coming forward. By June, we hope PPE will be starting for exports.
Exactly. So one more. The Trump administration in the United States has signed a deal of US $138 million for pre-filled syringes. How is India prepared or gearing up to meet the emergent need of administering the vaccine with a pre-filled syringe, given that vaccine is being largely produced awaiting the necessary approvals?
Yes, so this comes to my hat as a syringe maker. So both aspects. So as HMD, we already make around 525 million auto-disable syringes worldwide. We are the largest manufacturer and exporter in the world. At the same time, ironically, India is the largest importer for auto-disable syringes in the world. We import because they are cheaper from China, and we are expected to match the L1 price, which we can only do to a limited extent, not at a loss. But yes, we export at a more profitable price, and we help the world. This $138 million, what we're talking about, this is a new innovation. It's a drug delivery system, whereby now the drugs will be delivered not by a syringe. It'll be delivered by a plastic ampule through a specialized needle. And HMD will be making the specialized needle. We're part of this consortium. We've been working on this technology as part of this consortium for the last 3 years. And interestingly, in December of last year, the US government, along with our colleagues in America, they had signed a $460 million R&D support package called RAPID, whereby these products could be made in USA and other parts of the country in America. But because COVID came in March, they jump-started and overtook RAPID and said, we want this more fast for the vaccines. And now that $138 million package has been signed, so that in 1 year's time, this can be packed in plastic ampules in America. And we are writing to the Department of Biotechnology and ICMR, and we've been in talks already to Dr. Ella in Biotech and also Serum Institute to bring this technology to India. We will help them.
Thank you, sir. That is well answered. Thank you once again, sir, for your insights. Now we very will